Well, good morning. Aren't we a social bunch this morning? We are wearing chicken hats and bubonic plague costumes. This is, wow, wonderful. Well, welcome to First Parish Unitarian Universalist of Medfield. So pleased that you're all with us today. Welcome to all of you who are streaming in from home as well. We're so pleased you are with us remotely. We'd invite you all to join us and stay following the service downstairs for our social hour. This congregation first gathered in 1651 in this beautiful historic meeting house where we worship was built in 1789, which was, and is still now, unceded ancestral lands of the Nipmuc Nation, who inhabited this area for thousands of years prior to the European colonists arriving on these shores. Friends, welcome. Welcome to this place. Here we search for truth and understanding. Here we celebrate life and we contemplate its mysteries. Here we share healing and wholeness. So whoever you are, whatever you believe, wherever you come from, whomever you love, we welcome you to this congregation. I'd actually like to introduce, if you haven't already met, the Reverend Laura Randall. We are going to be doing this service together. Shirley Riga actually made this happen and contacted Laura, I believe, last spring. So the three of us collaborated and designed the service together. So welcome. To say a few words about the Reverend Laura Randall. Uses she, her, hers pronouns, is the Director for Congregation Relations at the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, or UUSC, and facilitates partnerships to strengthen the impact of the UUSC and the social justice reach of UU communities. She's one of UUSC's co-coordinators for the Pink Haven Coalition, a network of communities working to help trans folks who are fleeing unsafe states. Prior to joining UUSC, Laura's ministry included serving as the Legacy Campaign Director for the UUA and Hospice Chaplaincy. She lives in Medford with her spouse and their two dogs. So welcome, Laura.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Our chalice lighting this morning is from the Reverend Jamie Yandel. The chalice is lit, and in the flames, the memory of our trans and non-binary ancestors do a dance of freedom and liberation, reminding us that we are whole and holy. We are loved beyond all measure, and in a refusal to accept anything less, may we know that we are rooted in infinite divinity, not regulated to the outskirts of the web of all existence, but enshrined in its core, enfleshed with stardust and fairy dust, an intentional creation of space where our many gods live.
Our call to worship this morning is going to involve all of you. So I'd ask everyone to rise as you are willing and able. And I'd ask for you to turn to the back cover of your order of service, where you'll see our First Parish Congregational Covenants, which was formally adopted this past June 2024 at our annual meeting. I will lead the right wingers over here. And Reverend Laura will lead the left wingers over there. We are going to simply alternate lines. I'll read the first line. Laura will lead her half. I'll lead our half, back and forth. I think you'll get the hang of it. Love is the foundation and spirit of our congregation, and we declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity.
As people of goodwill, we covenant with one another.
Wait. So that you speak when she speaks in unison. Let's try that again.
We got it. As people of goodwill, we covenant with one another to
explore our values freely and honor our diversity of beliefs and experiences as sources of strength.
Listen to one another with empathy and kindness to build trust.
Accept responsibility for our words and deeds when covenant has been broken, and after thoughtful reflection, work to repair and restore relationships.
Share our joys and sorrows and care for one another in a connected and nurturing congregation.
Serve the wider community with compassion, commitment, and integrity. Spirit, time, talent, and treasure. Thank you for helping me. And embrace the full measure of our humanity, showing reverence for the divine within and among all. Come, let us worship together. Our opening hymn this morning is Meditation on Breathing. It's in your teal hymnal, number 1009.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Eva Kendrick, your music director, and I just wanted to introduce this hymn because we haven't done this one in a number of years. I was partially inspired because of the upcoming election, and also partially inspired because it's one of the hymns in something that we're participating in called the Virtual Hymnal Project, which is a test pilot program. So I'm going, don't usually do this, but we're going to teach this hymn to you, and you can decide which part to do. So we're going to do it 3 times through, adding in a different line each time. So I'll start off with the simplest one. Do you mind holding this for me? Okay, so you can hear it. So it just goes like this. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And if that's all you'd like to do this morning, that's fine. You can continue doing that. If you want to do the second part, which after we do it 3 times, I'm going to be singing the top line, which is, when I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. So we're going to do that, and then Becca's going to add a fancy part on top, which, if you're feeling very adventurous today, goes... You want to do it? I can do it. Okay. So it's like, when I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. No pressure. You can just stick with number 1. So we'll do it thrice through, starting with just breathe in the second time with the top line, and then the sixth time with the, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the seventh time with the top descant part there. All right. We can keep it between us. Oh, no, I guess we don't need it. Yeah. So we'll start with the breathe in. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe. I'll breathe in peace when I breathe out. I'll breathe out love when I breathe in. I'll breathe in peace when I breathe out. I'll breathe out love when I breathe in. I'll breathe in peace when I breathe out. I'll breathe out. I think that way. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
Let's quiet our hearts, quiet our minds for a few moments of silence and shared meditation. Amen. So I just want to let you all know the obvious. We are running long, so if you ever do need to use the restroom, you know where they are, but we are going to continue. The other morning, I dropped my daughter off at North Quincy High School, as I do each morning. I looked in front of me, and there was a Ford F-150 with a big bumper sticker on the back that I identify as a Lamborghini. It's a funny joke, right? Yeah. It's not a Lamborghini. I'm used to things like this in Quincy, a city of over 100,000, very diverse city. Got lots of Irish, Italian tradesmen as my neighbors. I have a lot of Chinese, Vietnamese, and Korean neighbors in my neighborhood. There's a lot of diversity of political thought. One thing that's lovely, though, is you're not allowed, if you're running for state office, to declare your party. So we actually have to listen to your ideas rather than the label. But as I sat in traffic thinking about this thing, and you maybe have seen some of these messages, I identify as this or that, as a way to mock those who choose to identify in a way that some may be judgmental of. And I thought on its face, sure, that truck is not a Lamborghini. But then I wondered, what if that truck got into an accident and needed a new bumper? What if it put a bumper of a Lamborghini on that truck? What if it had a meltdown and needed a new alternator, need a new engine? Put an engine of a Honda in there, see if that would work. Then I thought of the factory line when this truck was manufactured. They made some choices on what the truck would look like. Nowadays, some trucks have combustion engines. Some are fully electric. And as I drove around more, everybody trying to get their kid to and from school, it's pretty busy. You're all pretty fortunate out here in Medfield with very little traffic. Oh, yeah. I was looking at all the variety of cars. And I thought, there's a variety of people who change in a lot of ways throughout our lives. And I thought that the joke on the bumper sticker only works if you're operating under a binary mindset. And the other thing, if you dig a little deeper, is this binary mindset, for those who hold it, like most of us, because I was raised in a binary world, up until I served as a family minister at the Arlington Street Church, and I made a mistake because I taught for a long time, and I started the Moment for All Ages by saying, well, now boys and girls, like I did for years. I was called on it. Well, not every child there was identifying as a boy or a girl. It's hard. It's hard to make these changes. But I want you all to understand that our culture, while we were raised in that culture, not identifying on one or the other, this binary culture we live in, that was a choice. Not all cultures work that way. One example I learned about when I took an interfaith class at Hebrew College and Seminary, it was co-taught by a Christian minister, a Jewish rabbi, and a Muslim scholar. It sounds a little bit like a joke, but it actually was. This Muslim scholar, Dr. Salim Ibrahim, educated me on many aspects of Islam. One thing that I was quite taken by was that within Islam, gender fluidity and non-binary goes back centuries. The Quran, as revealed to Prophet Muhammad over a span of 23 years in the 7th century in Arabia, during that time, the culture actually had 4 designations of gender. There was male, female, intersex, is known as unsa, and the effeminate male, mukanaha. As described in Arcade, The Humanities of the World, a periodical published by the Stanford Humanities Center, says, mukanaha, effeminate ones who resemble women, was a term used in classical Arabic and Islamic literature to describe gender-variant people. It's typically referred to effeminate men or people with ambiguous sexual characteristics who appeared feminine and functioned sexually or socially in roles typically carried out by women. Mukanathan, especially those in the city of Medina, are mentioned throughout the Hadith literature and in the works of many early Arabic and Islamic writers. And during the period, the Rashidun era from 632 to 661 CE, and during the following period, the Umayyad era, 661 to 750 CE, and later, and that's the era in which the Prophet Muhammad lived and worked, and even later through 750 to 1258. The word was used as a descriptor for men employed as dancers, musicians, and or comedians. For those who argue that pronouns, gender fluidity is new, it's only the woke liberals, it's not accurate. It's that our culture simply has chosen to make them other. We've all heard the news articles and the headlines talking about Tampon Tim, old Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who had the audacity to put tampons in all the bathrooms. Why? Understanding that not everyone who enters there might identify as male or female and honestly might need a tampon. We've heard the tale of this forced gender reassignment. You send your kids off to school, come home as a different gender. We've heard the gender reassignment as forced castration of our youth. This is what's happening now. This is what is in our culture. This is what we are living in. And I sometimes, in my position of privilege, because I check about all those privileged boxes, cisgender, male, straight, educated, upper middle class, you name it, able-bodied, tall. It's so easy for me to just ignore all of this because it doesn't affect me. But I'm really scared about this culture we're living in. And I'm not talking just about the election. I'm talking about what's been happening, what continues to happen, and the bigotry involved in that. And it violates who I am as a Unitarian Universalist. This is bigotry. So in closing, my hope is simply that we can remember what binds us, what connects us, wherever we are in the coming weeks and months, that we can center love. As I mentioned last week, diversity isn't a choice. Diversity is a fact of our lives. Equity is a verb. It requires you working to do something. Inclusion is the goal. We covenant to hold our UU values with love at the center. And together, I know we'll get through this. But some of us are going to need help. Amen. I'll now invite forward Shirley for the morning's reading.
This is a piece written by Alak. Alak identifies as they, them, an internationally acclaimed poet, comedian, public speaker, and actor. The body is not a fleshy prison for the spirit. We transcend the arbitrary boundaries drawn around our skin. We are so much more than the physical. Our bodies are just mere suggestions, not ordained truths. Truth is polyamorous. Time is too. We are connected to the past, the future, the present, the people we are, the people we love, the world that surrounds us is us. Invisibility is not an objective state. It is a lack of ambition. Just because you don't see us as us doesn't mean we are not real. Reality surpasses vision. Our imagination is malnourished by a world that limits our potential to our ability to work and not our ability to love. one that relegates dreaming to our sleeping. What if we were to dream while awake? The hyper-individuation of the West crumbles beneath our feet and in our lungs. We desire past the confines of the now. We reject their reason, and instead we are honest, painfully so, in our feelings. That behind every fact is a carousel of feelings. Behind every law is a panic attack. Behind every judge and every doctor and every politician is a broken heart. We yearn desperately for an otherwise. We begin that otherwise by surrendering to the complexity of ourselves and everyone around us. We use science to appreciate our potential, not restrict it. Biology proliferates, not imprisons. The natural disposition of the world is infinity. We are oriented towards multifaceted universes that exist beyond comprehension. We resist being known. We insist on being experienced regardless of reason. There are as many ways to exist as there are existences. Everything lives. The stone beneath our feet, the clouds above us, nothing dies. It just transforms. It goes elsewhere. We are the descendants of elsewhere. Stardust, skin cells, stray dreams. We spill outside of the containers they filter us through. We remain incorrigible, impure, and delightfully contaminated. Porous and welcoming of all the transitions, the refugees, the becomings, the future, the now.
Good morning once again. It's so good to be with you, First Parish in Medfield. I'm coming to you today from the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, or UUSC, which was founded in 1940 by American Unitarians who wanted to help people being persecuted by Nazis in Europe get to safety. More than 8 decades later, UUSC is still serving people being forced to flee their homes or whose lives are threatened due to war, the climate crisis, or human rights violations. Today, our work is led by frontline communities most impacted by these crises. These grassroots partners leading the way, and Unitarian Universalists offering their support. With this, USC is advancing human rights and resisting oppressive systems around the world. And in the United States, we've been deeply involved with a network of activists and organizations working to get trans and gender expansive people out of unsafe states, called the Pink Haven Coalition. Perhaps you saw the profile on Pink Haven in UU World magazine, or you watched the presentation of the UUA's Volunteer Service Award to the Pink Haven Coalition at General Assembly this year, or you read the UUA's business resolution, which was passed by UU delegates at General Assembly this past June, which states in part, our tradition is a living one. And today we collectively declare that our covenant inescapably binds us to affirmation and protection of our transgender and intersex members and kindred in faith and in practice. The resolution, titled Embracing Transgender, Non-Binary, Intersex, Gender-Diverse People, is a fundamental expression of UU religious values, goes on as business resolutions go. It is very beautiful, and I hope you'll read the whole thing. You can find it online if you haven't already. Before I get into what the Pink Haven Coalition does, I need to start with why it exists in the first place, something that we've been touching on all morning. This will be the hard part, but I assure you that soon we'll get to the hope, joy, and power found in this community. 38 states currently have anti-transgender legislation on their books, with the number of bills growing by the day Today, the ACLU is tracking 530 anti-LGBTQI bills that are in process in various state legislatures. Most of them are anti-trans laws. And this isn't just an issue in states like Florida and Texas. 2 of these bills that the ACLU is tracking related to what can be taught in schools are right here in Massachusetts. 530 bills right now. For a bit of context, in 2015, the number was 8. The lies and the misinformation surrounding these bills are abhorrent. These bills are trying to legislate trans and queer people out of existence. Please know that this is not hyperbole. Because of these laws, trans people in the United States now meet the definition of internally displaced people, or IDPs, by the United Nations. Hundreds of thousands of trans people and their families have already fled their homes to safer states, with more than 1 million more considering doing so, according to a recent Data for Progress survey. Early last year, an organization led by trans activists approached UUSC and asked if we could help trans folks relocate to safer states. They saw the work UUSC was doing with congregations in supporting asylum seekers and wondered if UUs had the networks, infrastructure, and desire to support a different kind of asylum seeker, one driven from their US-based homes and communities. Of course, we said yes. In this work with trans activists, we are in coalition with other progressive faith organizations, mutual aid groups, and others who are committed to fighting back against the rising tide of fascism in the United States. We are working together to create networks of safety and direct support for trans beloveds and their families who need to relocate, access health care across state lines, or stay as safe as possible where they are. We call this motley crew the Pink Haven Coalition. Because of safety concerns for these trans organizers and the people that we're serving, we are prioritizing their security above all, which is allowing us to move together in deep trust during these frightening times. That's why we're not sharing any names of the organizers or the people we're helping on our web pages or social media. You're never going to see that. Similar organizations and trans activists are regularly experiencing doxing and other violent threats. For those who may be unfamiliar with that term, doxing is when private personal information such as your home address is posted online with the intent to threaten or to encourage violence. Pink Haven has already experienced several bad actors trying to infiltrate the coalition by posing as someone needing help. We hope that our security measures will continue to keep trans organizers and the people Pink Haven is serving safe for as long as possible. What brought us to this place where trans folks are being scapegoated by the right and states are actively trying to legislate them out of existence? A myriad of factors, to be sure, but one of the most prominent is the rise of fascism and authoritarianism in the United States. The Reverend Jim Voddie addressed this phenomenon in his 2023 award-winning Skinner House sermon, Resisting Tyranny. He wrote, "Under fascism, you have an autocrat who believes in the cultural superiority and political supremacy of the country he leads. And he believes in the use of his concentrated power and unlimited violence to uphold the country's supremacy and its purity against perceived internal and external threats." In 1930s Germany, the made-up threat was the Jewish community. And right now in our own country, trans folks are the made-up threat of choice. It is no accident that the percentage of Jews in Germany in 1933 and the percentage of trans-identified adults in the US today is nearly identical. The strategy of demonizing a tiny, often misunderstood minority and using religion to do so is another tactic right out of the authoritarian playbook. Tyrants also always punch down for political gain. There ends the quote by Jim Vody. The non-binary poet and activist Alok, who wrote the poem that Shirley read, also writes, "The best way to eliminate a group is to demonize them such that their disappearance is seen as an act of justice, not discrimination." Will you take a breath with me? This is heavy stuff, friends. But non-binary, trans, and gender-expansive people have been chosen as the political scapegoat at this particular moment in time, not just because of their numbers compared to the cisgender population in the United States. It is because of the power they hold. The power to topple a patriarchal system that absolutely depends on binaries and hierarchy. From the moment we take our first breath, our lives begin to be defined by the anatomy perceived by those around us. It's a boy or it's a girl. 3 words begin a cascade of rules and expectations and perceptions. And as we grow, these expectations, they might be perfectly comfortable, or maybe they only chafe sometimes, or maybe they are utterly suffocating. And the really insidious trick of enforcing a gender binary, of believing that reality is only black or white, this or that, is that we soon learn to police ourselves. We become the wardens of our own prisons because we have been so instilled with the fear of what will happen if we don't. There's been a multi-century PR campaign, said Alok in a recent interview, that tells us if we express ourselves and cultivate a life around authenticity, then we will suffer. So it is better to remain silent, to remain still, and to fit into other people's ideas of who we should be. Friends, to cultivate a life around authenticity is a radical act of rebellion in this world. To do the introspective work necessary to ask yourself questions, to discover who you really are, not who you were told that you are. This is the kind of life-affirming, soul-strengthening, community-celebrating work that everyone can do, that everyone should do. And our trans and gender-expansive kin are showing us the way. Trans and gender-expansive beloveds, you are the prophets of the possible. You are showing us that gender is not a binary or even a spectrum, but an infinite galaxy of incarnations waiting to be explored. The body is not a fleshy prison for the spirit. We transcend the arbitrary boundaries drawn around our skin. We are so much more than the physical. There are as many ways to exist as there are existences. Please know that I'm not suggesting we do away with the concepts of man and woman. If you like them, if they fit you or what you aspire to, wonderful. What I am saying is that everyone should have the freedom to decide for themselves what these terms mean and if they want to claim them for themselves or not. Also, please hear, as Reverend Dave said, none of this is new. Trans and gender-expansive people have always existed and they always will. The history of gender-expansive people has often been deliberately erased or distorted by colonial powers. Many cultures around the world have 3, 4, or more genders in their society. Many indigenous people in the Americas have two-spirit members who are said to possess both masculine and feminine energies. Two-spirit people are considered divinely blessed and often serve their communities as healers and shamans. Even the term two-spirit is an attempt to bridge Native American understandings of gender to Western colonial understandings of the gender binary. The term was coined in the 1990s by indigenous activists who were looking for a way to acknowledge the unique and specific ways various tribes view gender within the discourse of transness. These experiences are related, but they're not the same. There are as many ways to exist as there are existences. The flood of anti-trans legislation and the violence it promotes can seem both overwhelming and diffuse, when it is in fact harming very specific, very real people. With the Pink Haven Coalition, we are seeking to protect trans, two-spirit, and gender-expansive lives. We are seeking to uplift trans joy as sacred and prophetic. And we also mean this very broadly and very specifically. I have the immense privilege to act as the primary contact for a Pink Haven family who fled Texas following death threats from a neighbor after their daughter came out as trans. Putting whatever possessions fit in their car, they drove to a northern state with sanctuary protections for trans people. I and many other Pink Haven volunteers work to secure them temporary housing, get grocery cards from local congregations, and navigate a new public transportation system. And then, of course, search for a new apartment of their own. The process took months and it had a lot of bumps in the road, but they moved into their own place this summer. They will still need a lot of support as they continue to settle in and make connections in their new community. But as the mom, I'll call her Stacy, gave me a video tour of their tiny new apartment on FaceTime, she proudly showed off the very first piece of art hanging on their living room wall, a large rainbow flag. I told Stacy I was preaching about Pink Haven and asked if there was anything she would like to share. She said, "Pink Haven has helped in so many ways, but most importantly, Pink Haven saved my daughter's life, aiding us to flee a state that was no longer safe for us in any way, shape, or form. All the people who helped us and continue to help us really saved my little but strong family. We love y'all, and thank y'all so very much. I've been a single mom their whole life, and Pink Haven is the first people who ever helped us like this. It brings tears to my eyes. It truly does take a village. It just took us a while to find ours." Friends, if you would like to be part of this village that is saving lives and uplifting trans joy, please visit pinkhaven.org. Your donations make it possible for families like Stacy's to get to safety and find the resources they need to survive and thrive. The requests for relocation assistance to Pink Haven continue to grow by the day, as you can imagine. And we can only continue to meet this need if the generosity of others continues to grow as well. Let us proclaim to the world that our trans, two-spirit, non-binary, genderqueer, and gender-expansive kin are whole, holy, and loved. Beloveds, I'd like to end with one of my favorite blessings, written by Dory Midnight and Randy Fosh Stewart. This is a blessing written especially for us, my LGBTQIA+ family, and I hope you will take it in. Allies and accomplices, you too can receive this blessing. I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze. Move as the Spirit moves you. Perhaps gently place your hands on your face or over your heart. Take a breath with me. Blessed are you, awakener, life of all worlds, who removes sleep from my eyes and slumber from my eyelids. Blessed are you, generous creatrix, who stretches forth on the earth upon the waters. Blessed are you, sacred flame, who illuminates and shines upon everyone and everything. Blessed are you, holy fashion designer, who delights in the way we dress ourselves as altars. Blessed are you, liberation worker, who moves us to stretch and expand toward freedom. Blessed are you, nameless and infinite, who made us in your image and reminds us that all bodies are sacred and holy. Blessed are you, wings of gold, who crowns my people, all people, with splendor. Blessed are you, holy breath, who fills me with this gift every day. Blessed are you, abundance, who helps me remember I have everything I need. Blessed are you, the way, who reminds me to meet me and others where we are. Blessed are you, sacred source of life, who I draw on for strength and who reminds me that rest is a sacred act. Blessed are you, fabulous one, who loves me just as I am. Blessed are you, weaver of being, who shaped the human being with wisdom, making for us all the openings and vessels of the body. It is known that we are miracles, and all bodies are miracles. Blessed are you, you of many names, for revealing infinite paths of healing. May it be so. Amen. Blessed be.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Laura. Well, I know what I'm going to be doing this afternoon, going to the Pink Haven Coalition and donating. I invite you to join me. Now I'd invite Fritz Fleischman forward to introduce the morning's offering.
When I got up this morning, the thermometer outside our window was at 0 Celsius or 32 Fahrenheit, which reminded me what it may be like to be homeless at this time of year. So I find it very appropriate that today's collection is split between our spiritual home, this place, and Chaplains on the Way, which is an interdenominational organization in Waltham, serving the homeless spiritually, materially, and logistically. I encourage you to visit their website also to learn more about them. It's an impressive organization that has been around for some time, and I was very proud to learn that this congregation is one of its sponsors. So let us open our hearts and wallets and be generous. Thank you.
Friends, as we prepare to leave this sacred space, hear the words of Emily Richards.
Our work here this morning is at an end, and our work has just begun.
The work of holding one another in this community in love.
The work of trusting that we are on the right path.
The work of believing that what connects us is stronger than what separates us.
The work of engaging in that which makes us whole.
The work of deeper understanding and commitment.
The work of letting go of that which does not serve us.
The work of radical inclusion.
The work of collective liberation.
The work of this beloved community.
A beloved community of which we are all part.
A place where we are welcomed, respected, valued, cherished.
A place where we belong,
Go in peace.
Amen.
and blessed be.
Till we meet again, we share a sacred trust to live in light, to do right, and grow in loving care. Amen.
As we prepare to leave this sacred space, we extinguish our chalice. May the light and warmth of this community stay in our hearts until we meet again. Here ends our worship. Let our service begin.